Welcome to the World United.
Welcome to the World United.
Next, and Zach Thomson is an award-winning movie director. I see now why you have a handle on all this stuff. Producer, bridge builder between cultures. And he's going to speak to us about art imitating life. I'll tell you, the way this is on my sheet doesn't make sense. But it sounds like the question is, does art imitate life, or does life imitate art? Go for it, Zach.
Well, thank you, Dr. Janet Smith. I appreciate that you saying that. That's in fact, the title is, Does Life Imitate Art, or Does Art Imitate Life, and How Does it Affect Our World? And so, in fact, Oscar Wilde in 1889, in the essay, The Decay of Lying, claims that life imitates art far more than art imitates life. What is found in life and nature is not what is really there, but that which artists have taught people to find there through art. Things are because we see them, and what we see is, and how we see it depends on the arts that have influenced us. Even Plato felt that art is because art is so powerful, it can stir up powerful emotions, and the art itself could be dangerous. On the other hand, we can consume art as a reflection of the human experience. Then, of course, art also imitates life. And there is evidence that shows that both of these things are true, that art imitates life and life imitates art. If that's the case, we need to be better at imitating the best aspects of humanity, because we as humans imitate and mimic what we see, good or bad. Dandapani, the Hindu priest and entrepreneur and international speaker, said it best: whatever I invest my energy in will start to grow. If I invest my energy into something positive, it will grow and become more positive. If I invest my energy into something negative, it will grow and become more negative. If art imitates life, then you are seeing more edifying media, then that's a positive. If life imitates art and you see that, spread negativity, then we need to make a concerted effort to change that. Either way you look at it, art influences the participant in that art. And when we express ourselves through art and media, we have the ability to connect with the viewer. We have a need to create, entertain, and edify. We all have, at some point, feel impelled to share our perspective. We need to add to the collective whole. Often when I'm reading a book, I feel an impactful message that was shared by the author, something that hits me in a way that inspires me to be a better version of myself. I've heard that you can distill art down to two main groups, love or anger. And if there's any truth to this, we have a responsibility to create more art and media that comes from a place of love. This is not, of course, to ignore an expression of emotion that someone feels compelled to share, or perhaps a cry for help. In fact, art is an incredible therapeutic medium. We are indeed asked to mourn with those that mourn and carry each other's burdens. Art can be the tool that connects us more at a human level and helps us understand each other's plights. It's important for us to do. In fact, that's precisely the reason that we need to create more positive and edifying art, content, and media to lift others up from the place of hurt and sorrow. Because life imitates art, and there's a need to make content hopeful and more uplifting. So if art imitates life, then we need to make the world better by creating positive, inspirational content. So I come to a better world. They say a wise man learns from his mistakes, and a wiser man learns from others' mistakes. Or woman, right? We have inherited a world from all the civilizations and generations before us for thousands of years. History shows us that they did many things right, many things wrong, and we need to make it better for the next generation. There are many issues plaguing our world, and we have a responsibility to make it better. Each one of us have gifts and talents that make the world a better place. If you haven't already figured out what your talents are, start immediately to develop them and share them to edify the world in your way. In fact, later on today, I have a workshop that walks through the development of creating these different abilities because it's something I'm very passionate about. This life, of course, is meant to be a struggle for all of us. It is inevitable that we face painful trials. However, We need to be there for each other, not because we can always solve each other's problems, but at least we can support each other through trials. Interestingly enough, I find the most fascinating and inspirational people I've ever read or had the pleasure to meet with are the people that have had some of the most life-altering challenges. Imagine how boring life would be if everything was perfect. No need to rise above and overcome, no more interesting dramas and character arcs and stories that help to inspire us to be better. In fact, in the book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, he said that man's main concern isn't to gain pleasure or to avoid pain, but rather to see meaning in his life. That is why man is even ready to suffer on the condition to be sure that his suffering has meaning. The human family is designed to work together and to take care of each other. Follow your heart to the things that most interest you to become a leader in that area or many areas. Help lift others up in their struggle, and hopefully someone will be there for you when you go through trials. Don't make your focus to try to live completely without struggle, because it is precisely the reason that we are on this beautiful planet, to learn and grow. And just like a muscle, you can't grow without tearing it so it can rebuild itself, bigger and stronger. Just like in life, we don't know what we would do until we are faced with a decision or trial, but then of course we see what we're made of. Struggle and change is uncomfortable, but we become better and more confident people when we do. There's a story from Return from Tomorrow by George C. Ritchie. I recommend you read it. It's phenomenal. During World War II, there was an inmate of a concentration camp, fluent in English, French, German, Russian, as well as Polish. And he became kind of an unofficial camp translator. He was known as Wild Bill for his handlebar mustache. The inmates came to him with all sorts of problems. His compassion for his fellow prisoners glowed on his face, and he often lifted the spirits of others. On one occasion, Wild Bill related his story to one of his fellow prisoners. He said, "We lived in the Jewish sector of Warsaw, my wife and our 2 daughters and our 3 little boys. When the Germans reached our streets, they lined everyone against the wall and opened up with machine guns. I begged to be allowed to die with my family, but because I spoke German, they put me in the work group." He paused, perhaps because he was seeing his wife and children again. He continued and said, "I had to decide right then whether to let myself hate the soldiers who had done this, and it was an easy decision, really." He was a lawyer. He said, "In my practice, I had seen too often what hate could do to people's minds and bodies. Hate had just killed 6 people who mattered most to him in the world, and he decided that he was going to spend the rest of his life, whether it was a few days or a few years, loving every person he came in contact with." More recently, a few years ago, there's a man named Chris Williams who lost his family to a drunk 16-year-old teen, drunk driver. He said the situation was, upon impact of the cars, Chris immediately could see the future. In the back seat were the deep, bloodless gashes of an 11-year-old son's, Ben's face, and the motionless body of his 9-year-old Anna, as he watched his pregnant wife, Michelle, give her last sad exhale. Williams himself was in so much pain he could struggle to turn the key in the ignition. In the minutes before the ambulances arrived, as horrified passersby tried to extricate him, Williams put his head back and moaned. But then a thought rose to the surface. Whoever had done this, I will forgive them. I don't care what the circumstances were, I will forgive them. And soon after, he publicly forgave this teen. When I hear stories like this, it gives me an incredible perspective that humans can overcome almost anything. To me, these were both circumstances that were almost unfathomable to forgive. So when I hear it, it helps me believe that if other humans can overcome in some of the worst circumstances I can imagine, then I too can model that amazing behavior to overcome my trials. The world needs more inspirational stories. We need more forgiveness. We need more compassion. We need to create art and content that the viewer can model after. That is how we learn. We need to build and create, for we are offspring of deity, a creator. It is in our genetic makeup. When we see models of successful people, we internally and subconsciously believe that we are able to achieve also. Every culture, every race, Every person on this planet deserves to see themselves in art and media. We all need to see ourselves in a positive role so we too can become successful. In fact, in reality, studies show that there is a clear relationship between cultural self-esteem and academic achievement. That relationship starts in early childhood. That's the reason why students and staff at Mary Baldwin University hosted the Black Baby Doll Drive. It helps foster a sense of belonging and confidence. They say how important it is to give dolls that look like you. They say self-esteem starts when you're young, long before you are influenced by social media. So your chances increase in life if you have good role models. If you, in your home, most importantly, in the media and in movies we watch, and the music we listen to, the games we play, and we are the average of the 5 people that we hang around. If someone is not so fortunate to have examples in their home, and for whatever unfortunate reason, as well, they need to be shown that they too can overcome and achieve what they dream. It is statistically proven that the content we watch has an impact on us. Now, we still have a choice to mimic what we see, but we subconsciously are impacted by its effects and our worldview, for better or worse. In fact, I tell my friends, 96% of your life should be being present in the here and now. 2% of your time should be reflecting on the past and 2% planning for the future. This, of course, is my anecdotal experience, but I find it as a great balance. From firsthand experience, I used to waste too much time thinking about the future, and I was so tunnel vision with my goals and objectives that I failed to fully enjoy nearly years of my life. I was not fully enjoying life to the fullest. Life is about the journey, not the destination. And of all that remains, that 96%, we should be spending more time building and creating than we do consuming. Because we all have different perspectives, this allows us to see the world through the eyes of others' unique perspectives. Learn and enjoy to find the beauty in all types of music and movies and religions and art. And you'll be able to find at the core of this art and media if it comes from a place of anger or love. And of course, surround yourself with that. In fact, the Anasazi have a saying that there's only forwards or backwards walking. And you can ask yourself, are you making progress and letting yourself, get discouraged? They say you either succeed or you learn. You never truly fail unless you do not learn from it. And one of my favorite Native American stories goes as follows. An elder of a tribe told his grandson, "My son, there's an endless battle that goes on inside all of us. It is between 2 wolves. One wolf is bad. He is anger, envy, regret, greed, arrogance, resentment, lies, superiority, and ego. The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, empathy, generosity, truth, and compassion." And the grandson thought about it, and he asked his grandfather, "Well, which will win?" And the grandfather answered, "The one you feed." We need to feed our inner good wolf to find that joy, peace, compassion. And finally, we live in a society, we have a general kind of society, contract, social contract, an agreed upon threshold for what is appropriate for different audiences. Otherwise, why would we have a rating system? Certain audiences are warned about what the content contains. This is because not all content is appropriate for everyone, generally correlated with age, but because hopefully as we get older, we understand that life is not a video game and there's no reset button. We have a duty as adults to not subject our children to mature content, to hopefully not desensitize their innocence, that it may be preserved as long as possible. However, it is not our job to stop others from making questionable content, but if we want to make a positive impact on the world, we need to make positive content. If we make more good content, then we give people more good options to choose from. This is because we create the worlds in which we live. We create our perspectives. If we subject ourselves to violence and death, then that is how we're going to view the world. And if we do that, how are we going to teach the next generation the possibility of a world full of peace? If life imitates art, then we need to create more art coming from a place of love. As human beings, we are designed to depend on each other. We can't and shouldn't live this life alone. We are designed to work together, no matter our perspective. We function the best when we take care of each other. There are so many problems around the world that need to be fixed, but if just a few of us make an effort, we can change the world. And to wrap this idea up, Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." We change the world through our influence, our art, our media, for better or worse. When we show positivity, it spreads more positivity. Because we are human, we mimic each other. And lastly, no matter who we are or what that we need to create more than we consume. We are creators and we have a response to create uplifting content. We need to make the world better that it will be received and in preparing for the next generation. Anyway, those are some of the thoughts that I wanted to share today. So thank you for taking the time to listen.
Well, Zach, thank you so very, very much. That is very aligned with my own vision